Good morning, children. Hearty welcome to all of you for today's session. Hope you all are doing well. Some of you have got the marks now. Have you noticed your marks, children? Okay. So for the next exam, you have to improve your marks. Others' marks will be given within these 2 days. Okay, children. So let's start. Today, in this session, I am going to begin a new lesson from our Beehive textbook, The Bond of Love. It's written by Kenneth Anderson. Okay, so first of all, let's see the life and career of the writer who has written The Bond of Love, Kenneth Anderson. Kenneth Anderson was born on 8th March 1910. He was an Indian-born, a British writer and hunter. He wrote books about his adventures in the jungles of South India. His love for the inhabitants of the Indian jungle led him to big game hunting and to write real-life adventurous stories. He often went into the jungle alone and unarmed to meditate and enjoy the beauty of untouched nature. So most of his stories are about hunting tigers and leopards, particularly man-eaters. He includes chapters on his first-hand encounters with elephants, bison, and bears. Okay, so let's move on to our textbook, The Bond of Love. Before moving ahead with the lesson, I'll give you a brief introduction about the lesson, The Bond of Love. The story highlights the emotional bond between human beings and animals. The story highlights the emotional bond between human beings and animals. The narrator's wife shares affection with a wild bear. They get attached to each other, and it shows that animals too have feelings. Okay, so the story highlights the emotional bond between human beings and animals. In this story, The Bond of Love, the narrator's wife, who is the narrator, Kenneth Anderson, the narrator's wife shares affection with a wild bear and they get attached to each other. So from this lesson, we realize that animals too have feelings with warmth and affection. Okay. So let's move on to a textbook. Let me read the portion. See, here is the picture of the sloth bear. Okay, I'll give you. See, in our textbook itself, there is a brief description about sloth bear. Sloth bears inhabit forested areas. It will be given in your textbook, children. Come to page number 113. You can read it. So I'll read it for you. Sloth bears inhabit forest areas, including the tropical rainforests of India and grasslands at lower elevations. Sloth bears have very shaggy hair and long muscles. Using their claws to dig, they can use their lips to form a tube which can go deep into the ground. Their main food is termites. You can hear them suck up their food from several feet away. So when you open your textbook, children, come to page number 113. You will get a brief description about sloth bear. So here is the picture of sloth bear. Okay, so its main food is termite. It lives in forested areas, including the tropical rainforests of India and grasslands at lower elevations. So let's move ahead with our lesson. I will begin with Bruno, my wife's pet sloth bear. I got him for her by accident. 2 years ago, we were passing through the sugarcane fields near Mysore. People were driving away the wild pigs from the fields by shooting at them. Some were shot and some escaped. We thought that everything was over when suddenly a black sloth bear came out panting in the hot sun. Okay, so Now, I will not shoot a sloth bear wantonly, but unfortunately, for the poor beast, one of my companions did not feel the way about and promptly shot the bear on the spot. As we watched the fallen animal, we were surprised to see that the black fur on its back moved and left the prostrate body. Then we saw it was a baby bear that had been riding on its mother's back when the sudden shot had killed her. The little creature ran around its prostrate parent, making a pitiful noise. Okay, so let's begin the explanation. I will begin with Bruno, my wife's pet sloth bear. I got him for her by accident. So the narrator, he begins the story with Bruno. Who is Bruno? His wife's pet sloth bear. See, here is the picture of the sloth bear I have shown you earlier. Okay, so the writer or the narrator begins the story with Bruno. Bruno is the name of her wife's pet sloth bear. I got him for her by accident. So here, accident means, in this context, accident means chance. So by chance, he got him for her. Who got him for her? The narrator. Clear? So let's move on to the next paragraph. 2 years ago, we were passing through the sugarcane fields near Mysore. People were driving away the wild pigs from the fields by shooting at them. Some were shot and some escaped. We thought that everything was over when suddenly a black sloth bear came out panting in the hot sun. So, what's the meaning of panting, children? Panting means taking short, quick breaths. So, what is happening there, children? Yes, 2 years ago, they were passing through the sugarcane fields near Mysore. People were driving away the wild pigs, Nowadays, pigs are very familiar to you. Their news is spread in our newspaper. So, people were driving away the wild pigs from the fields by how, children? By shooting at them. Some were shot and some escaped. So, we thought that everything was over. Suddenly, what happened then? Suddenly, a black sloth bear came out, panting in the hot sun. Suddenly, what's happening there, children? A black sloth bear came out, panting in the hot sun. It was very hot then. So, it was coming out by how, children? By taking short, quick breaths. Now, I will not shoot a sloth bear wantonly, but unfortunately for the poor beast, one of my companions did not feel that way about and promptly shot the bear on the spot. See, in our next paragraph, want only, the word want only. What do you mean by want only? Want only meaning is given in the textbook, children, for no good reason, without any valid reason. So what's the meaning of that sentence, children? Yes, 2 years before, the time when the story was written, the narrator and his friends were passing through sugarcane fields near Mysore. Farmers were driving out pigs from their fields by shooting them. As it was apparently over, suddenly a sloth bear appeared from the fields and it was breathing heavily. As I told you, it was panting. Panting means taking short, quick breaths. So suddenly what happened there, children? Yes, what happened there? Yes, I will not shoot a sloth bear without any valid reason. But unfortunately, one of my companions, what did he do, children? Yes, suddenly he shot the bear on the spot. Suddenly he shot the bear on the spot. So what happened to the bear, children? Yes, one of his companions, one of the narrator's companion, shot the bear on the spot. As we watched the fallen animal, we were surprised to see that the black fur on its back moved and left the prostrate body. So what's the meaning of prostrate? Meaning is given there, children. Prostrate means lying on the ground facing downwards. That's the position, children. Lying on the ground facing downwards. So as we watch, as the narrator and his companions watched the fallen animal, watched the fallen sloth bear, we were surprised to see that the black fur on its back moved and left the prostrate body. So what's happening there, children? Yes. See, one of his companions, what did he do, children? Yes, he promptly shot the bear on the spot. So by that time, they have seen, or they were surprised to see, that a black fur on its back moved and left the prostrate body. Left the prostrate body means left the body that was lying on the ground. Then we saw it was a baby bear, not a bear, children, a baby bear that had been riding on its mother's back when the sudden shot had killed her. So what's going on there, children? Yes, there was a black fur on its back moved and left the prostrate body. So they saw it was a baby bear. And that baby bear had been riding on its mother's back when the sudden shot had killed her. So the little creature ran around its prostrate parent, making a pitiful noise. So as it had been riding on its mother's back, then the narrator's companion shot the bear on the spot. So what happened to the baby bear? Yes, the little creature ran around its mother's body by making a pitiful sound. It realized that something had happened to its mother. Okay, next paragraph. I ran up to attempt a capture. It scooted into the sugarcane field. Following it with my companions, I at last able to grab it by the scruff of its neck while it snapped and tried to scratch me with its long hooked claws. So what's going on there, children? Yes, the narrator ran up to attempt a capture. So what he was doing there, children? He was trying to capture, or he was trying to catch that animal or that baby bear. It scooted into the sugarcane field. What's the meaning of scooted? It ran away into the sugarcane field, and following it with my companions, I was at last able to grab it by the scruff of its neck. So here, children, yes, able to grab it by the scruff of its neck means take hold of the back of the neck or collar suddenly and roughly. So at last the narrator was able to take hold of the back of the neck or collar suddenly and roughly. Clear? While it snapped and tried to scratch me with its long hooked claws. So by that time, what did it do? While the narrator was able to catch it by its collar or able to catch it by the back of its neck, he tried to scratch him. The baby bear tried to scratch him with its long hooked claws. Okay. Then, next paragraph. We put it in one of the gunny bags we have brought, and when I got back to Bangalore, I duly presented it to my wife. She was delighted. She at once put a colored ribbon around its neck, and after discovering the cub was a boy, she christened it Bruno. Did you get that sentence, children? Yes. What's the meaning of christen? Christen means named. Christen means named. So we put it in one of the gunny bags. So after catching the baby bear, the narrator and his companions, they put it in the gunny bags they had brought, and when they reached or when they got back to Bangalore, what did he do, children? Yes, the narrator presented it to his wife. The narrator presented it to his wife. So what is going on there, children? Yes, she was very delighted. She was so happy. So at once, what did she do with the bear? Yes, she put a colored ribbon. She put a colored ribbon around its neck. And after discovering the cub was a baby, so they discovered that the baby bear was a male one. It was a baby. So she named him Bruno. Understood? She named him Bruno. So that's the content of that paragraph. Let's move on to the next one. Yes, Bruno soon took to drinking milk from a bottle. It was but a step further, and within a very few days, he started eating and drinking everything else. And everything is the right word, for he ate porridge from any ingredients, vegetables, fruits, nuts, meat, especially pork, curry, and rice, regardless of condiments, and chilies, breads, eggs, chocolate, sweets, pudding, ice cream, etc., etc., etc. As for drink, milk, coffee, lime juice, aerated water, buttermilk, beer, alcoholic liquor, and in fact anything liquid, it all went down with a relish. What's the meaning, children? Relish. Relish means great enjoyment. So, from this paragraph, we understood that Bruno's eating style and everything is there in this paragraph. So the bear drank milk from a bottle. After a few days, it started drinking and eating many things, everything, anything. The bear enjoyed eating and drinking. The bear became very attached to the food that is given to him. Everything in the right word, that is what is. He ate porridge made from any ingredients, vegetables, fruits, meat, curry, rice, regardless of the condiments. What's the meaning of condiments? Spices. Whatever it is, if it is bread, egg, chocolate, sweet, pudding, yes, everything he likes. Then, what about his drinks? Milk, tea, coffee, lime juice, aerated water, buttermilk, beer, alcoholic liquor, and so on. So, in fact, anything liquid, it all went down with a relish. That is what is. He ate everything with great enjoyment. The bear became very attached to our two Alsatian dogs and to all the children of the tenants living in our bungalow. He was left quite free in his younger days and spent his time in playing, running into kitchen and going to sleep our beds. So what is going on there, children? Yes, the bear became very attached to their two Alsatian dogs. They had two Alsatian dogs, so the bear became very attached to them. And what about the children? Yes, all the children of the tenants. What's the meaning of tenant? Tenant means person who paid for a house. So, all the children of the tenants living in their bungalow, they were also attached with the bear. The bear became very attached to the Alsatian dogs and all the neighboring children too. He was left quite free in his younger days and spent his time in playing, running into the kitchen, and going to sleep in even their own beds. He was very quiet. He was very free in his younger days. He spent his time by playing, running into the kitchen, and here and there, and even he sleep on their beds. Then, one day an accident befell him. I put down poison, barium carbonate, to kill the rats and mice that had got into my library. Bruno entered the library as he often did, and he ate some of the poison. Paralysis set into the extent that he could not stand on his feet, but he dragged himself on his stumps to my wife, who called me. I guessed what had happened. Off I rushed in the car to the vet's residence, a case of poisoning. Tame by barium carbonate. What to do? Okay. So one day, what happened to him, children? Yes, one day an accident happened to him. Befell means happen. One day an accident happened to him. What happened? Yes, the narrator put down poison. What's the name of the poison, children? Yes, barium carbonate. One day I put down poison to kill the rats and mice that have got into my library. So one day he kept poison to kill the rats and mice, and that had been kept in his library. Bruno entered the library. So what happened to him, children? Yes, Bruno entered into the library and ate some of the poison. So what was the result? Yes, paralysis set into the extent that he could not stand on his feet. So after eating the poison, he became paralyzed. What's the meaning of paralyzed? Inability to move. So what did he do? He dragged himself. He could not stand on his feet. So he dragged himself on his stumps. Here stumps means legs, children. The meaning of stumps is legs. So he dragged himself on his stumps to the narrator's wife. Then I guess what had happened. So by seeing his condition, the narrator realized what had happened to Bruno. So what did he do next? Yes, the narrator rushed in the car to the vet's residence, vet's veterinary doctor's house. A case of poisoning, tamed by barium carbonate. What to do? So the narrator, he rushed in the car to the vet's residence. Clear? Yes, he took Bruno to a veterinary doctor. Out came his medical books, and a feverish reference to index began. What poison did you say, sir? Barium carbonate. Yes, Baba, barium carbonate. Oh no, barium salts. Barium carbonate. Symptoms, paralysis, treatment, injections. Just a minute, sir. I will bring my syringe and the medicine. So, what did he do, children? Yes, the doctor, he took out his medical book. Index means his medical book. So, the doctor took out his medical book and searched the index for poisoning. By barium carbonate. At last, he took out a syringe and the medicine. So, did you get that paragraph? Yes, the doctor, he came out with his medical book and a feverish reference. What's the meaning of feverish, children? Feverish means, what's the meaning of fever? That is what is the meaning of feverish. He has high temperature. So out came of his medical books, a feverish reference to index began. And what poison did you say? Yes, barium carbonate. Yeah, barium salt. Oh no, barium carbonate. So what's the symptoms? Paralysis, treatment, injections. So just a minute, sir. I'll bring my syringe and the medicine. So what did he do? So he came with a medical book. The doctor took out a medical book and he searched for the medicine. So at last what did he do? Yes, he brought his syringe and medicine. A dash back to the car. Bruno still floundering about on his stumps but clearly weakening rapidly. Some vomiting, heavy breathing with heaving flanks and a gaping mouth. See, have you seen his condition, children? Yes. What happened to him, children? Yes, he was totally paralyzed. It's clear that his body, it became very weak and somehow he started vomiting, heavy breathing with a gaped mouth. What's the meaning of gaped mouth? Gaping mouth means the mouth, it became wide open. Clear? So, next paragraph. Hold him, everybody. Hold him, everybody. In goes the hypodermic. Bruno squeals 10 cc. What do you mean by 10 cc? 10 cubic centimeters of the antidote enters his system without a drop being wasted. 10 minutes later, condition unchanged. Another 10 cc injected. 10 minutes later, breathing less serious. Bruno can move his arms and legs a little, although he cannot stand yet. 30 minutes later, Bruno gets up and has a great feed. He looks at us disdainfully, as much as to say, what is barium carbonate to a black big bear like me? Bruno is still eating. So, what's the meaning of hypodermic, children? Yes, it's given in the textbook. A long needle used to give an injection under the skin. Then squeals means screams. Squeals. Who screams here, children? Yes, by injecting the medicine, Bruno squeals. Hold him, everybody. In goes the hypodermic. So the doctor asked everybody to hold him tightly. Hold him, everybody. It goes the hypodermic. So it's a long needle used to give an injection. So the doctor asked everyone to hold Bruno. As it screamed, the medicine was injected. As the condition did not change, another injection was given, another 10 cc cubic centimeter. So another 10 cc medicine was given, and 10 minutes later, Bruno's breathing, it became a normal one, and it could stand after 30 minutes, and it started eating food. It gave them such a look. Bruno gave them such a look which showed that it had been fine all the time and as if nothing had happened to it. See the last sentence, children. What's the barium carbonate to a black bear like me? Bruno is still eating. So he looked at them disdainfully. What's the meaning of disdainfully, children? Disdainfully means disapprovingly. Oh, why are you looking like this? He looks at us disdainfully. Then his look says like this. What's barium carbonate to a big black bear like me? Bruno is still eating. I have no problem. Yes, nothing had happened to me. So this is what is the content of that paragraph, children. So let's move on to the next paragraph. Another time he found nearly 1 gallon of old engine oil which I had drained from the sump of the stewed baker and was keeping as we are pouring against inroads of termites. So what is going on there, children? Yes, keeping as a weapon against the inroads of the termites. He promptly drank the lot, but it had no ill effects of whatever. So what's going on there, children? Yes, see, another time, another accident came to him. What did he, children? Yes, he found nearly 1 gallon of engine oil. From where did he get that engine oil? Yes, the narrator had taken out of his stewed baker car and had kept it to get rid of termites, termites. Then what happened to Bruno, children? Yes, he promptly drank a lot. So he suddenly drank a lot, but it had no ill effects whatever, like the other incident. The other incident, what had happened to him, children? Yes, he became paralyzed. But in this incident, for the second time, when he had drank 1 gallon of old engine was there, he promptly drank a lot. Not 1 gallon fully, but he had drunk a lot. Okay, so he promptly drank a lot, but it had no effects whatever. Let's move on to a concluding paragraph, children. The months rolled on, and Bruno had grown many times the size he was when he came. He had equaled the Alsatians in height, and he had even outgrown them, but was just as sweet, just as mischievous, just as playful. He was very fond of us all. Above all, he loved my wife, and she loved him too. She had changed his name from Bruno to Baba, a Hindustani word signifying small boy, and he could do a few tricks too. At the command, Baba Wrestle or Baba Box, he vigorously tackled anyone who came forward for a rough and tumble. Give him a stick and say, Baba, hold a gun, and he pointed the stick at you. Ask him, Baba, where is the baby? And he immediately produced and cradled affectionately stump of wood which he had carefully concealed in his straw bed. But because of the tenant's children, poor Bruno or Baba had to be kept chained most of the time. Okay, so let's see the explanation, children. Yes, as days passed, Bruno grew bigger and outgrew the Alsatian dogs. See, 2 Alsatian dogs were there. So, outgrew the Alsatian dogs because, what's the meaning? Yes, he has grown as equal to the Alsatians in height and sometimes even outgrown them means he had grown more than them. That means he had grown more than the Alsatians in height and weight. But what's the nature? Yes, the narrator's wife. He was very attached to Bruno, and Bruno too loved her very much. Then at last, what did she do? She changed his name to Baba. What do you mean by Baba, children? Yes, Baba means a small boy in Hindustani language. Baba means small boy. So Baba did some tricks too. When he was ordered Baba Wrestle or Baba Box, what he would do, children? Yes, he would wrestle the person or overpower him. When commanded Baba hold a gun, what he would do? He would point a stick at the person as if ready to shoot him. When asked, Baba, where is the baby? Then he would take out a piece of stick or a wood and cradle it affectionately like a baby. Cradle it, cradle. He cradle it affectionately, lovingly like a baby. So he cared it like a baby. He had hidden the piece of wood under his straw bed. Then, as he had grown big, he was chained because he could be a threat to the tenant's children. So, see the last one, children? Yes, but because of the tenant's children, his neighbors, because of his neighbor's children, poor Bruno had to be kept chained most of the time. Okay, so Here, let's conclude today's lesson, children. Half of the portion we have completed, and the next half is there. Today, I will not give you any notes because many of you are not sending me the notes properly, children. By Monday, you have to complete the notes and give it to me. Okay, read the lesson. Thank you, children. Have a nice day.